Okay, I think we're ready to go. Good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning. We have some great news to share with you all. We have a number of speakers joining us this morning, and as such, we would like you to hold your questions until after we've completed making statements. So please raise your hand when we open up for questioning, and we'll try to provide you with answers. At this time, I would like to introduce Missoula Chief of Police, Jason White.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. I am Chief Jason White with the Missoula Police Department. We are here today to discuss the closure of a 46-year-old case. On February 5th, 1974, 5-year-old Siobhan McGinnis was abducted within a few blocks of her Northside neighborhood home. Tragically, 2 days later, she was found deceased near the Tura exit off of Interstate 90. Despite all of the exhaustive hours by detectives over the past 4 decades, the case has remained unsolved and open. In 2019, the Missoula Police Department reached out to the newly formed Missoula County Sheriff's Office Cold Case Squad for assistance. Through modern DNA technology and assistance from state and federal law enforcement partners, the Cold Case Squad was able to identify a suspect. The suspect has been identified as Richard William Davis. Suspect Davis was born on November 7th, 1941, and most recently resided in Cabot, Arkansas. Suspect Davis died in 2012. This was truly a team effort. We would not have been able to achieve this closure without the assistance of a number of people, including the initial detectives who documented the crime scene and gathered valuable evidence even before there was DNA technology. And they interviewed dozens of witnesses in 1974, including the 2 who identified a suspect vehicle with New York plates and a description of the driver. We'd also like to thank the Missoula County Cold Case Squad, the Montana Sexual Assault Kit Initiative Program, the Montana State Laboratory Forensic Services Division, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Bodie Technology, Family Tree DNA, Gene by Gene, and Othram Incorporated. Finally, and most importantly, to the family of Siobhan, I offer my heartfelt condolences for the tragic loss of your loved one. Undoubtedly, the past 46 years have been a difficult journey. The news of identifying a suspect in Siobhan's death has brought many emotions, memories, and feelings about that day back to the surface. We never gave up on Siobhan or finding justice for her. While we are unable to bring the suspect to justice for his crimes, we hope his identification can help bring a small amount of closure to you and hopefully help you continue to heal. I would like to now introduce Missoula County Under Sheriff Rich Marcella.
Rich, you're muted.
Rich, this is Tim. Place your mouse over the lower left corner of your Zoom screen. You should see a microphone and you click on it and unmute.
Rich, you're unmuted now, so you should be able to talk.
We'll move on to All right, while we're working out the Zoom issue,
Can you hear? Can you come here?
Rich, you're off of mute. You can talk
I thought
now.
they were going on. I have no sound.
Yeah, you got it now, Rich.
That's not
go ahead,
the
Rick.
No.
You're good, Rich. You're on.
Dial in with the phone number.
I don't think he can hear
Okay.
us.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, talk.
Give me a thumbs up, Chief, if you can hear me. Okay. I'm really sorry, guys. I'm having some technical difficulties. I just wanted to start out by saying thank you for this opportunity on behalf of Sheriff McDermott. This is a big day for us. So back in 1974, the Siobhan McGinnis investigation began as the Missoula City Police Department was first notified of her disappearance. A short time later, the Missoula County Sheriff's Office responded east of town, where her body was found outside of the city limits. This began a fierce commitment by both agencies to find her killer. That commitment has never wavered, which has been clearly demonstrated here today. The City Police Department was subsequently able to leverage the Sheriff's Office Cold Case Unit, and through their collaborative efforts, along with the FBI and their state-of-the-art investigative resources, all law enforcement agencies have been able to see justice prevail and provide closure for all those involved. Just like Chief White, I would like to take this time to personally thank FBI Special Agent Steve Bush, not just for his own personal dedication, but not for, excuse me, as a representative of the FBI, but also for his own personal dedication to this case. The Sheriff's Office Cold Case Unit that has worked this case along with the Missoula Police Department is comprised of 4 retired federal investigators, 3 of whom retired after long distinguished careers with the FBI. These 4 individuals volunteer their time and expertise while working with detectives to solve cases that have gone cold, not only in the Missoula County, but also other jurisdictions around the state as well. The Cold Case Unit is a highly valued resource at the Sheriff's Office, and it is a great honor to sponsor a program that benefits so many as they assist our local city, county, and state law enforcement partners. So our thoughts now turn to the McGinnis family, who have endured this long, arduous journey to finally encounter their own closure. May the completion of this investigation bring you peace. Thank you.
I'd like to now introduce Montana Attorney General Tim Fox.
Thank you, Chief, and good morning, everyone. I'm going to start my comments with giving my heartfelt condolences to the McGinnis family. I see Ona and Stephen there on the screen. I wish I could embrace you, hug you, and cry with you, but we'll let this pandemic subside and hopefully do that again someday very soon. But my condolences to you and through all of the things that you've gone through. Hopefully this gives you some measure of closure. And then probably as important today is to acknowledge again the great work of the Missoula Police Department, Missoula County Sheriff's Office, the FBI, the County Attorney's Office, and of course, our Sexual Assault Kit Initiative program and our State Crime Lab in Missoula for helping bring some measure of closure to Siobhan's family and the Missoula community. So a lot of great work has gone on over the years, and it all began with the initial investigation, which maintained evidence that could be used at a later date, which our fine law enforcement officers in Montana are trained to do. They're dedicated to doing it, and so many have worked so hard for so long to get us to this point today. This case is an example of the excellent teamwork and collaboration among many agencies that assisted detectives to solve the case. The SACI grant through the Bureau of Justice Assistant allows funding for forensic genetic genealogy testing for cold case homicides where a nexus to sexual assault exists, and the McGinnis case fit that criteria. The Montana Department of Justice SACI program facilitated the completion and submission of the Bode Lab paperwork to process evidence in the McGinnis case and funded the forensic testing which developed a SNP DNA profile. This enabled detectives to utilize the SNP DNA profile, build family trees, and collect familial DNA reference samples. The crime lab analyzed and compared DNA collected from descendants of the suspect to produce conclusive results. By way of background about our SACI program, when I first took office nearly 8 years ago, across the nation, we in the law enforcement community saw growing concerns over unsubmitted evidence kits. We wanted to take a proactive approach here in Montana, bringing together law enforcement, officials, prosecutors, victim advocates, forensic scientists, campus representatives, and even our lawmakers. And I see Representative Kimberly Dudick, who is here on the screen today, and I think will be speaking today. Representative Dudick, thank you for your commitment and dedication to these issues as well. The status of all of those kits that existed in Montana needed to be tested, and then the work with local law enforcement agencies and others to make it happen began. In 2015, my office launched the Sexual Assault Evidence Task Force to determine how many evidence kits had never been submitted to the state crime lab for testing and to develop a plan to address the issue. In 2016, our department received a $2 million National Sexual Assault Kit Initiative Grant award from the Federal Bureau of Justice Assistance. This grant has been used to test previously unsubmitted sexual assault kits, strengthen victim services, prevent re-victimization, develop new training materials, create best practices and standards for sexual assault cases, and implement new policies to eradicate the accumulation of untested sexual assault kits. And then in 2019, we brought forward legislation revising how kits are collected, stored, delivered, and tracked. And last summer, we announced a new kit tracking system that marked a significant change in the law, procedures, and practices related to sexual assault kits in Montana. This type of access for victims serves not only as a tracking tool, but provides for better communication among healthcare professionals, law enforcement, and sexual assault survivors across the state. Additionally, we were just awarded a $992,000 grant to continue our important work on sexual assault kits and sexual assault in general. This additional funding from the 2020 National Sexual Assault Kit Initiative Competitive Grant Phase 3 will address testing of additional backlogged sexual assault kits and statewide training needs. Funding will support 3 main activities: sexual assault kit testing for kits that were not submitted to the crime lab during the transition period from 2016 to 2019, robust statewide training opportunities for professional responders to sexual assault, and assessment and analysis of the current 2016 and 2017 Montana SACI data, including factors in decline, delayed, or unsuccessful prosecutions of sexual assault. One important objective will be to provide culturally specific training to Montana's tribes in partnership with the Montana U.S. Attorney's Office and the U.S. Department of Justice, National Indian Country Training Coordinator. The Bureau of Justice Assistance will continue to guide the work of the Montana SACI project through its sexual assault evidence model and expert technical assistant. We're proud of the progress we've made together, all of us, and I'm hopeful that at least in some measure, through the perseverance of many and advances of technology, we have found justice for Siobhan 46 years after she was abducted 1 block from home. Again, my condolences to the McGinnis family. We love you. Our heart goes out to you. And I'll now turn it over to my colleague and friend, Representative Kimberly Dudick. And I'm going to have to drop off the Zoom. I'm doing a Zoom with the United States Senator here in about 4 minutes. So take it away, Kim.
Thank you, Attorney General Fox, and thank you for your work in this area. I know we've worked on it together, and I appreciate what you have done. Thank you. My name is Kimberly Dudick, and I'm speaking today on behalf of the mother of Siobhan McGinnis. She wishes to express her deepest thanks to the Special Victims Unit of the Missoula Police Department for their unceasing pursuit and unflagging energy in solving an unthinkable crime that ripped apart our lives and the lives of everyone in Missoula in 1974. She also wishes to thank the combined efforts of the following agencies: the FBI Forensic Genetic Genealogy Team, the Missoula Police Department, the Missoula County Sheriff's Department, the FBI Critical Incident Response Group Behavioral Analysis Unit, the Montana Department of Justice Forensic Science Division, their crime lab, the Montana Department of Justice Sexual Assault Kit Initiative Coordinator, as well as several private agencies that collaborated on the DNA portion of the investigation. She hopes to bring closure and a measure of healing to what, in many ways, can never be healed and certainly never forgotten. She also wants everyone to know that some of Siobhan's ashes are buried up near the M and some thrown from the Higgins Avenue Bridge overlooking what is now Brennan's Wave. Siobhan's spirit is forever linked to two focal points of hope and inspiration that are uniquely Missoula. A permanent memorial is currently in the planning stage. Siobhan's parents have teamed up with Zach to create a rooftop sculpture garden, Siobhan's Garden, a living remembrance, a gathering place for healing and making art. We feel confident that everyone in Missoula will want to be a part of making that garden a reality. And if you're interested, please visit zootownarts.org to view the plans and to see how you can help. There's a link for donations to support the memorial. Siobhan's mother requests that in respect for her privacy, all good wishes and comments be made to me at kdudick.ppir@gmail.com or the Facebook page Honoring Siobhan, created by Siobhan's half-sister. You can also Google Honoring Siobhan and you will see a link to the fundraiser and to the Facebook page. Thank you very much, and thank you all for your work.
I'd like to now introduce Una McGinnis.
Hello. I just would like to say thank you to so many people that worked on this. You know, of course, I was born after Siobhan had passed, and I never met my sister. But I'm so grateful for the many caring, dedicated professionals that worked on this. You know, as a family, you always hope that the things that you hold close to your heart would also be shared by law enforcement officials. And so many professionals in a case like this, but you can never, you know, expect that. And we are just completely overwhelmed by the science, the dedication, the hard work that has gone into everything that you have done. It really means the world. My dad never thought that he would see this happen in his lifetime. And so it's a big deal. It's a really big deal for us. And it's a huge deal for the Missoula community. This affected almost everybody that lived there at that time, and probably still some today. It certainly affected our family for many decades, and it's just amazing what you all have put together and have done. I would also like to say briefly that the family of the suspect are very, 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 very kind people. They did not have to, you know, cooperate or care about these things, but they were willing to do this for us, and they have reached out to us. They sent us a very lovely statement to our family from theirs, and they are also experiencing their own new family tragedy. And so I would like to ask that, you know, anybody who is looking at this case, please also respect their privacy, as they are healing right now as well, and had absolutely no idea that somebody that they loved would have been capable of such a thing.
Thank you. I'd like to now introduce Steve McGinnis, Siobhan's father.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad you're all here taking part in this press release. I have a brief statement to read, which I think sums up how everyone has felt over the last 46 years. To all of our friends, both Bonnie's and mine, in Missoula, Missoula Police Department Detective Division, especially Dean Christensen, 46 years is a very long space of time to be in a state of unending grief and immense sorrow for one as beautiful and amazing as Siobhan. I'm sure she has been alive in our memory for all those years and remains so today. I remained in Missoula for the better part of 30 years, surrounded by a much needed support system of valued friends and family, moving to Spokane in 2013 at the behest of my daughter, Una, Siobhan's half-sister, who, if I may say so, has been a pillar of strength for those tough years with her love and concern for my physical and emotional welfare. So we are all relieved with the positive identification of Siobhan's murderer, and our prayers go out to his family, hoping that they will have the same sense of closure we have so long awaited. Thank you, everyone involved in solving the case.
Thank you, Steve. I'd like to now open it up to any questions.
Peter C., you are now allowed to talk. Should be able to talk.
Peter C., we have you unmuted on our end.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I was wondering if any investigation has turned up what Mr. Davis was doing in Missoula at the time. Was he working here, just passing through, or do we know?
It appears as though he was just passing through.
Thank you.
Maritza Giorgio.
Yeah, thank you so much. I have a couple questions, if that's okay. I'm wondering if he has been convicted or suspected of any other crimes.
He has not, but we have provided all of his information through the FBI's Violent Criminal Apprehension Program. So all of the information that we have been able to uncover has been provided through the FBI to nationwide to all of our law enforcement partners. So if they too have unsolved cases, they will be able to get the information that we have.
And this has been one of those cases that's just haunted detectives who've worked on it. And Mr. McGinnis just mentioned Dean Christensen, just one of them. Have some of those now retired detectives been given notice of this? And if so, I imagine it's a mixed emotion, but what's their reaction?
Yes, we have reached out to every single Missoula Police Department employee that worked on this, either from a patrol through detectives, and they are relieved to finally have closure to this case, as we all are.
And lastly, I'm just wondering, how many cold cases does Missoula currently have?
I do not have that number.
Okay, thank you.
Spencer Schacht.
Hi, this is actually Angela Marshall with ABC Fox Montana. I was just curious if you could give us any other information that ties Richard William Davis to Siobhan McGinnis's killing, other than the fact that he was just passing through the area. Any other information that might have come to light as to why he was in Missoula, perhaps his occupation, traveling with family?
So we don't have any information as to why he was here. He passed away in 2012, and in speaking with his family, we aren't able to uncover that. The only other link that we have is the suspect vehicle description from 1974, and the vehicle that he was driving at the time matched that description, as well as the physical description given by those two very key witnesses.
Connor McCauley,
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. So are charges now filed against Richard Davis, even though he's deceased? That might be a county attorney question.
No, we cannot file charges on someone who's deceased.
Can we get a spelling on Steve Bush, the special FBI agent who assisted?
Yeah, we'll provide that here in a second.
Cool. And then you guys talked about expanding the efforts to look into more cold case sexual assault files. What kind is being done to do that? What kind of are those expanded efforts looking like?
So now that the Missoula County Sheriff's Office has their cold case squad stood up, we will continue to work collaboratively with them. And any cases that we have that meet that criteria, we will look out for our continued partnership to move that forward and continue working with them. So they were an exceptional resource, and we continue to look forward to working with them. I have the spelling for Bush. It is Busch.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Spencer Shocked again. I know that's not who you are, but that's the name listed.
Yes, it's Angela Marshall one more time. I was just wondering if you could elaborate more about how Davis's DNA tied him to the crime and how that was unearthed using genealogy and genetic testing.
So that was all handled by the State Crime Lab and our partners with the FBI. So there was DNA evidence that was collected back in 1974 that we reanalyzed and started the analysis process in September of 2019. And through that, they were able to identify some potential family members that matched the suspect's DNA. And it was through cooperation with the suspect's family that we were able to get information that conclusively linked suspect Davis to Siobhan's murder.
And you said that was back in September of 2019?
September 2019 is when we were able to lift another set of DNA from evidence that was collected that day.
Okay. Sheila Callahan, you should be able to speak. Sheila Callahan. Peter C., you should be able to unmute.
Yes, thank you. Just one more quick question. You just mentioned there were two important witnesses that came forward to provide more details. Are these two individuals, are they still alive? Are they here in Missoula? Or is there anything you can share with us about them that wouldn't violate their privacy?
I do not have their information at this time. Sorry, Peter.
Thank you.
Sheila, are you able to get back on with us?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Thank you. Thanks so much. Chief White, could you please tell us who is in charge of the cold case efforts at the police department and also at the Missoula County Sheriff's Department?
So the cold case that is handled by the detectives that are work the case, and if someone retires and it gets transferred to a new detective, at that program, the detective division is overseen by Captain Mike Collier. So he is the one that handles the day in, day out supervision of that. As far as the Sheriff's Department, I would have to defer to Under Sheriff Marcelli to see who runs it over there at the Sheriff's Department.
Thank you. Under Sheriff Maricelli? Is he available?
Doesn't look.
He's working on unmuting himself at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
Unfortunately, he's not able to unmute.
Okay, I'll contact him outside. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Seaborn Larson.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Seaborn, go ahead.
Excellent. Could you tell us a little bit more about the cause of death in this case, please?
I do not have that information in front of me. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Chief, can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead, Rich.
Okay, my apologies. So in answer to Sheila's question, Captain David Conway is, he's the one that oversees our cold case unit. So we do have the 4 members, and they've been working kind of remotely since during this COVID time, but they've been still actively working some different cases as we've all been dealing with this. So there's the 4 of them, and then it's overseen by Captain Conway and then Lieutenant Robert Kennedy.
Sheila, do you have a follow-up?
I do. I was going to ask, there was a obituary notice in the paper yesterday regarding a reserve deputy, last name Timmons, who it said was very involved in cold case investigations for the Missoula Sheriff's Department. Under Sheriff Maricelli, can you confirm that Timmons was involved in this investigation or not?
Actually, she was not involved in this particular one. So
thank you.
She actually wasn't.
Jay Smith, you should be able to unmute. Jay Smith, you should be able to unmute. And that's all I have raising hands. Or, here we go, one more. Angela?
Yes, thank you. I just have one more additional question. And the question that I want to ask is, knowing now that Richard Davis has been tied to the killing of Siobhan McGinnis, are you working with other agencies across the country to determine if he is responsible for other killings across the country? And if so, can you elaborate on any parts of those investigations?
So we are unaware of any other ongoing investigations. However, we have provided all of his information to the Federal Bureau of Investigation through their Violent Criminal Apprehension Program. So that information is made available to all law enforcement agencies across the country. So if they have an unsolved case, then maybe there's some information in that bulletin that would help them with their case. But at this point in time, we have not had any law enforcement agencies reach out to us to provide us with or ask us for any additional information.
I'd say like a last call for questions. Is that
Last call for questions.
there we go.
Thank you.
Holly Katowski should be able to unmute.
Hi, in response to Angela's question that she just asked about the national search, has the DNA been uploaded to CODIS and has information on Siobhan's case been put into VICAP to make it easier to search for other law enforcement agencies?
That information is contained in that VICAP notice. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us today. I've had several requests for copies of the photographs that are on display behind me, and I am working on making those available. Otherwise, anything else can be directed to me. My name is Sergeant Travis Welsh, the Public Information Officer for the Missoula Police Department. Thank you all again, and have a good day.